Hello, I'm the 10-minute English teacher. Let's get you exam ready. Today, I'm going to be helping you to write an essay comparing Climbing My Grandfather with the poem Follower. Before we get going, don't forget to like and subscribe. There are plenty of things on the channel to help you understand all of the poems from the Love and Relationships Anthology like an expert. Okay, let's think about how we would compare Climbing My Grandfather to Follower. We're going to start by thinking about what it is we need to know in the exam. So we need to know what happens in each poem. There are 15 of them. Understanding what happens and the key moments of them is something that you need to do. I've made little short guides, less than 5 minutes each, to each of the poems to help you. You need to recall 3 or 4 quotes from each and understand the structures. Those videos will help you. Here's an example of a key quote. Seamus Heaney, the writer of Follower, saying his shoulders glowed like a full sail strung. The other thing we need to be able to do is think about how to structure the essay that we're going to write in the exam. I'm going to help you with that today. So here's today's question we're going to think about. How is loss explored in Climbing My Grandfather and one other poem from the Love and Relationships Anthology for 30 marks? We're going to think about Follower as a poem that we are going to use to compare. Okay, how we're going to structure the essay. We're going to start with an introductory paragraph. What are the two poems about and what do we learn? So if you write a sentence explaining what that little story is about and then a sentence about what it teaches us about relationships, that's what you need to do in your first introductory paragraph for both poems. Once we've done that, we write a paragraph comparing the structures of each. Do they rhyme? Yes or no? Do they have regularity or irregularity in their meters? And why might the poets have chosen to adopt those structures in the poems? What might they reflect about the speakers or the subjects that they are writing about? Analyse 3 or 4 quotes from each poem, and if you can, make some comparative links. I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's think firstly about our introductory paragraph, remembering that we need to think about the two poems and what we learn. What would I write if I was in my exam? Something like this. Climbing My Grandfather is a poem about the loss of the writer's grandfather, and he imagines his grandfather being a mountain to climb. Loss is presented as a journey and can provide a sense of achievement. In Follower, Heaney recalls his memories of his father who has aged. The sense of loss Heaney feels is different, and he is frustrated by his relationship with his father as an older person. So that's my introductory paragraph, and if I know that I'm going to do that, what are the two poems about and what do we learn, as my opening paragraph, I'm definitely going to settle my nerves in the exam whilst writing something great as I do. The next thing I'm going to do for my second paragraph is I'm going to write a paragraph comparing the structures of each, talking about the rhyme scheme and the use of meter. Here's what I would do if I was in my exam. Climbing My Grandfather doesn't adopt a rhyme scheme, it's not a rhyming one, and has an irregular metre, perhaps reflecting the struggles of his overcoming of grief. Conversely, in Follower, Heaney uses iambic tetrameter, possibly to reflect the footsteps of his former self following the father. But the use of rhyme and metre also provides impact as it carries us forward to the Volta, where we find out that the father has aged and changed. Once I've done that, I'm going to start analysing my key quotes, and I need to know 3 or 4. There is no point in learning 20 lines from each poem. I don't think there's any use or point in underlining and highlighting and annotating your anthology. That's just far too noisy when you're only going to use 3 or 4 quotes from each poem in 45 minutes. You haven't got any time to do anything else. So think about your 3 or 4 quotes, explore them, and then if you can reach out and make a link to the second poem, that's what you need to do. But we definitely need to make sure that we are analysing 3 or 4 quotes from each. So here's an example of what I might write if I was in my exam. So here's my point. Waterhouse explores the idea that coming to terms with his loss is challenging. That's the writer of Climbing My Grandfather. So that's a nice little point. He finds it difficult coming to terms with loss and the fact that his grandfather is no longer with him. Here's my evidence. He writes, climbing has its dangers. And now it's my time to analyse. This could be a metaphor for his thinking about the grandfather he's lost and the idea of becoming overcome with emotion. So there's my analysis. The idea of climbing has its dangers. It could be a metaphor for him thinking about his grandfather and breaking down in doing so, becoming overcome with emotion, because overcoming grief and bereavement is a challenge. If I can make a link, I'm going to do that. And here's an example of what I might do in that paragraph to do that. In Follower, Heaney also reflects on the person he has lost, and then I might choose one of my key quotes from the poem to draw that link and then analyse that in turn. So that's what I need to do. If I can do 4 decent paragraphs like that, I will have met the challenge. Otherwise, I'm just making sure that I can do at least 3 or 4 quotes analytically written about for each poem. Now, for you to take it further, can you rewrite the opening and finish this essay in 45 minutes? So write your own paragraph that introduces the poems. Then once you've done that, think about the structures of them, and then it's time to analyse the significant moments. Remember, one of those poems will be provided to you in the exam, so you won't have to use your memory too much. You'll have it in front of you. The other one, the 3 or 4 quotes that you're going to use, needs to come from your memory. If you need to recall 3 or 4 key quotes, why not use my guides to each poem to prompt you? Okay, check out the other videos on my channel. I'll continue to add content. Feel free to ask something you'd like to see me cover in the comments section, or just join in the comments section and talk about which poem it is that you hope will pop up in the exam this year. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and keep revising.